This is Standing Watch. And now, Evangelist Norbert Link.
Greetings, everyone, and welcome back to our Standing Watch program. Interesting developments are taking place in Israel as we speak. I'd like to read to you from an article by JTA, dated June 2, saying the following. Benjamin Netanyahu will no longer be Israel's prime minister, as his political opponents announced Wednesday night that they have formed a coalition that will replace him, pending a simple majority vote in Israel's parliament, which is expected to happen on or about June 14. The new coalition, dubbed the Change Bloc, is an ideologically broad alliance that spans the Israeli political right, center, and left. For the first time in Israeli history, it will include an Arab-Israeli Islamist party as a full member of the coalition. It comprises 61 lawmakers, the smallest possible majority in Israel's 120-seat parliament, the Knesset. For the first 2 years of its term, the coalition will be led by Naftali Bennett, who is the head of the right-wing Yamina party, and he's also the opposition leader in the Knesset. Bennett, it says, will be Israel's first Orthodox prime minister. Now, other sources tell us that, well, he might be that by name, but by name only, because in reality he is just a very secular Jew. In any event, it goes on to say, Lapid, who is the leader of the centrist political party Yesh Atid, will take over for the second half of the term. The coalition includes 8 parties in total that differ vastly on their vision for Israel, but agree on wanting to end the Netanyahu era and the political crisis that has gripped Israel since 2019. Over the past 2 years, Israelis have voted in 4 elections, whose results have been mostly inconclusive. Had Lapid failed to announce a coalition, Israel would have almost definitely held a 5th election later this year, which, by the way, can still happen. The article goes on to say, the new coalition was announced on the same day that Isaac Herzog, a former leader of Israel's Labour Party, was elected president of Israel, but this is a largely ceremonial role. Now, it was also reported that Netanyahu has no intention of resigning, and he plans to lead the opposition, if it comes to this coalition, while engaging in attacks against Yamina and intense efforts to break up the coalition along ideological lines. You see, that coalition would have the smallest possible majority in parliament. So to get anything done, every single member will have to agree on anything, which is almost an impossibility. Now, GTA also wrote on June 2. It is unclear how long this coalition will last. Previous ones that were more ideologically coherent have fallen apart quickly. Don't expect this to be the government that makes peace with the Palestinians. Bennett opposes Palestinian statehood, as do other members of the coalition. Likewise, the left-wing and Arab parties will likely block any attempt to annex parts of the West Bank. Other governments have come in with policy platforms or an ideological program. Because this one came together to oust Netanyahu and to end a political crisis, it will have accomplished its goal the moment it gets sworn in, if it gets sworn in. What happens next is anyone's guess. Now, the prospects don't look too encouraging insofar as the stability of Israel is concerned, but it goes further. The Allgemeiner and Reuters wrote on June 3. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu on Thursday, which is today, fought back against an agreement by its political opponents for a government of left-wing, centrist and right-wing parties aimed at unseating him. He slammed Bennett for selling out to the Islamist party, according to an article of June 3. Netanyahu said on Twitter that all legislators elected by votes from the right must oppose this dangerous left-wing government, and he targeted historic Arab participation in the coalition. In fact, he went even further than that. He calls this new coalition a national security threat. The article continues. Political analysts expect Netanyahu to try to pick off what one described as low-hanging fruit, seizing upon Yamina members who are unhappy about joining forces with Arab and leftist lawmakers. Now, Netanyahu controls 30 seats in the 120-member Knesset. Bennett has only, I believe, 6 seats. And of course, Netanyahu is also allied with at least 3 other religious and nationalist parties. So it's far from certain that actually that coalition will be sworn in. It only would take one person to disagree, and the whole thing falls apart. But even if it is very certain that this coalition will not last very long. And so that brings up the question, what is going to happen? Now, first of all, Netanyahu is not going anywhere. Whether he is part of a new government or whether he is in the opposition, he is going to be reckoned with. Like, Donald Trump, is not going anywhere either. But we have prepared a free booklet, The Fall and Rise of the Jewish People. And this booklet tells you from the pages of the Bible what is going to happen to the state of Israel and the Jewish people in the not-too-distant future. You might not have heard some of the things the Bible clearly reveals, so please ask for a free copy, and we will keep you informed as to what's happening to Israel, the most fragile and contested area in the Middle East, if not in the entire world. So thank you very much for listening. This is Norbert Link for the Standing Watch program.
Standing Watch is a presentation by The Church of the Eternal God, P.O. Box 270519, San Diego, California 92198. More information is also available at our website, eternalgod.org.